So today I am prepping for another class that I'll be teaching at a local quilt shop. I'm teaching pretty much like foundation paper piecing basics. I'm using free FPPs that I can find that don't have restrictions or anything on them. And then I'm practicing, and then they're coming in and I'm walking them through how to understand it. So last month we did the heart, which went very well. Each of them did 3. I think that's a good number. The first one I sew with you. The second one we kind of, back and forth, do it together. And then the third one, you're on your own. So at the end of the day, you should feel a little comfortable with what you're doing. And hopefully you're leaving my classes learning something new. So this one, I don't know where it came from. It looks a little wonky. So maybe it was a picture of something. It's just telling me star block. It is a 3-section star. Patterns are reversed of the finished block because we lay our fabrics down. And so today it's just going to be fun pooling. I have my yellow scrap bin and I have my white, gray, black scrap bin. So we'll go through the yellows. My scraps can range anywhere from like 1.5s to 3s to weird random cuts left over from projects. Some are prints, some are solids. My fat quarters might even end up in here, but usually they don't. They're like fat 8s. Some are some older prints, some are fun. Even though I love the newspaper boat, I don't think that's going to end up in a star today. The bumblebees. So out of these, I was able to dig up. I like that one. I like that one. I'm liking that one, even though I'm not sure it's going to be large enough. So I will have to lay it out with the paper a couple times and see. And then this guy's got some scraps, but then he also has a big chunk. We'll see what we can work with. But what I'm actually thinking is maybe don't put them on the white. Maybe put them on blacks or blues. Let them look like stars at night. I know a lot of us use whites as our backgrounds. I mean, that's common. But if he was, in a night sky, I'm not sure I like the solids. I don't know why I'm not happy with the solids today. For example, this one was from an old Halloween line, but it's already got stars. It already looks like the night. So if he were to get a big bright yellow star on him, that I think works nicely. So it's going to depend on how much of each piece I have. Again, I can kind of come in here with the paper. I can guesstimate 1, 2, 3. That's the largest one. So of course I would want to make sure that I could get the largest cut first and then figure out the smaller cuts, which I think this one would be just fine. So you're going to get you. That's 2 down. We'll go ahead and get rid of the solid black. I think we could have more fun with the textures. So here's one. It's got a gold splatter on it. So again, I would make sure I could get that largest cut, which I can. Then I'm taking my fabric and I'm hopping over. Definitely can get 2. Definitely can get 2. And then with the rest, I could get 2 and 3. So I'm not one to pre-cut when I do this. I do like to I do like to just cut off of it as I'm going along. Now that I'm looking at these three guys, I don't think he looks the same. I don't think he's reading the same family. So we might go ahead and eliminate him. He's just a little bright, even though stars are bright. So don't get me wrong there. But I don't know if I have. I wouldn't want, you know, dots on dots. This would be too skinny because he won't even give me. This guy would be able to give me that background. Nope, not that background. So I already know I can't use this strip or this chunk of scraps, but no, I'm going to go ahead and cut the fourth one out of there. So we'll go ahead and I'll starch and press my fabrics. So I'm going to state that I am not a professional paper piecer. But I realize I keep telling myself that, and it's not that I am brand new to it. I've been doing it for years. I'm just not confident in it. But it's okay to rip something out, and it's okay if you get something backwards, because then you can just fix it. So I have that free one. I did enlarge it to fit a standard copying paper so that I could print it here at home. I then slice where it tells me to slice. So this one does use 3 different pieces. And then you connect them later. So you can see that here I have all 3 of those pieces stitched, trimmed, and ready to be attached. I did want to walk through real quickly. I oversize, I overcut. I think a lot of people do with foundation paper piecing. So I want to make sure that that first one is larger than my first section. I temporarily hold it in place. Then I go to number 2. Number 2 is oversized. I'm going to use, now it's really dark, so I know it fits there. I can tell already, right? It's way oversized. So we're going to come here, we're going to scoot ourselves down, we're going to find that line and make sure that we have that line underneath the second fabric. If you need to, which I actually suggest in class, pin your stitch line. Then you can fold your second fabric and test run. You'll notice I'm off that corner and I have a lot of room here. So you can go ahead, remove your pins, and scoot yourself down. This avoids stitching, flipping, and being too small or off track. This way, you're just test running it before you've made anything permanent. Now I can open it again, and I'm still off, which is not good. So let's see what we can do different. Since it's such a strong angle, we can go ahead and come here, pretend, and now it's a little bit better. So scoot yourself on down, hold it in place. I don't think I'm ever going to make that turn. And And this is the beauty of a video. I could edit it out, or I could let you guys just see my mistakes as I do them. So let's see what happens here. Because how else do we learn if we don't practice? And if this video was only a perfect, example, then you wouldn't see me learning. There you go. Now it fits. So what I had to do was find that angle, scooch it to that angle, and then when we go to open it, after stitching it, because that's our trim line later, that's our trim line later. So we will be okay. Then once you do that to all 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, and 3. This one's only a 2 color, so I knew that my star was yellow and my background was black. If it was an image that needed green, blue, purple, I would suggest using colored pencils in those numbered slots. So you could have said yellow here, black here. But now that we've got these 3 done, I'm going to go put them together and show you what it looks like. So here we go. I've taken number 1, 2, and 3. I've used their stitch lines. Go ahead and mess with those seams a little bit. I do have it's not Carolina, it's Carolina. Carolina Moore, always expect more water pen, which I enjoy. I also have her fancy tweezers, super sharp, super pokey. I do have a seam ripper just in case. I also have my little rotary cutter, and then the add a 1/4 inch rulers, which is how I trimmed everything. But this guy's fancy. He's full of water. You just follow your seams. And what it does is it helps the ripping process be a little bit easier. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because that'll just take too long. But now that it's wet, you can just come in here and it just pulls. Once all the paper is pulled off, the tweezers come in handy when you have a piece like this you can't get your fingers into. You can use the tweezers to get in there and pop that seam. There you go. And you can use them to pull those little fuzzies. I'm going to go ahead and pull the paper off, and I'll be back to check it out. So I am wondering, though, now that I'm looking at it, I'm a little off in a little places. Like I said, this image was free on the internet, and it looked off track originally. So I was wondering if it was a picture of a picture, because if you look, I'm not straight. Even though my lines, see, like he could come over here, even though he's straight there. So what I'll have to do, and that's the beauty of free, isn't it? What I'll have to do is figure out a size that works and trim to that. Which is telling me possibly I have 7.5 to play with there, and almost 7.5 to play with there. Let me get the paper off and let me get it pressed and see what we can do. So here we are. All the paper has been trimmed off, pulled off, picked out. So I am slightly disappointed that it printed at a weird angle. But that is what happens. Because to teach everyone the exact, like they would all have to buy books, and we don't have paper piecing books at my shop that I work at. Anyways, we're going to deal with this. So I'm going to find the square. Luckily, my cutting mat on my Caterpillar glue has a grid. Don't mind the washi tape on the ruler here. So they are not going to be square. They are going to be rectangles. But what I'm going to do is line up this edge as best as possible so that I can clean up here nice and straight, which wasn't bad at all. Then I'm going to hop a quarter, half. Let's see what a 7.5 looks like. No, I'm just a hair too short. You can see it down here. So we'll say 7.25. Again, we're not worried that they're not identical. Actually, we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a 1/4 inch on the end of that star tip. And then we'll come back and clean ourselves up a 1/4 inch here. Disregard everything else I just said. We're going to run our straight line here and then our 1/4 inch there. That makes a little bit more sense to me. The top I've already done, but oh well. It's at just under a 1/4. That's okay. So next time I will know to go ahead and make sure to leave that 1/4 up there. So it's just going to be a funny shaped block, and that's okay. Because we're just going to turn them into, again, mini wall hangings, orphan blocks. I'm leaving that 1/4 inch there. I'm making sure that I'm straight here. I can also use that line there that I used earlier. Come in for that straight. Because these aren't, you know, a 6.5 and you're not running them like normal quilt blocks. This is just to learn how to do this. This is just a basics. And then we can all end up with our orphan blocks at the end and be good to go. So I could just go ahead and cut it to that 1/4 there, since that's what the rest have. It is giving me enough that I can leave it at 1/2 inch, which I like the idea of doing. So we're going to run it straight, straight. That one's even straight across there, just like we used on the other 2 cuts. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.25-ish. So yeah, it's a little weird size, but that is okay. We are going to live with it. And then we're going to make pot holders and mug rugs and mini wall quilts and border it and turn it into a pillow even. So there you go. Again, I'm not a professional. And I do things over and over and over again so that I can practice and learn. That's why I have 3 here. 1, that's number 2 that we just talked about there. And number 3 is going to be this guy. And by the time I do it 3 times, I will feel a little bit more confident in myself. And then I'll have the students do it 3 times. And then I'll be able to teach them, hey, this is what happens when you get something free off the internet. and it's wonky. And we will talk about how I just squared it off by using that straight line here, and how I left that 1/4 of an inch everywhere when they go to trim theirs. Thanks so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, give it a like, a comment, a share, subscribe. But yeah, thanks. Have a great day.